Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Kristi Soomer. She is the founder and CEO of Encircled, based right here in Toronto. How you doing today, Kristi?
I'm great, thanks, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of the community and be a guest on the podcast today. I appreciate you coming out and sharing a bit about your story and journey.
Of course. I'm super happy to be here and excited to talk more about my journey in entrepreneurship.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. So as I said, you are the founder and CEO of Encircled, a Canadian-made clothing line that helps women streamline their wardrobe. Can you tell us how long you've been in business?
Yeah, so we're actually coming up on our 8-year anniversary of being in business. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And my 6th year of being full-time in the business. So I started it part-time as a side hustle when I was employed full-time as a management consultant and quit my job 2 years into it. So a couple of big milestones coming up for the business.
Yeah, no kidding. So can you tell us a bit about what you were doing before you founded Encircled?
Sure. So I was actually pretty far into my career. I'd been out of school for almost, out of university for almost 10 years. I did my undergrad in finance and business, and then I went on to do an MBA later on at Queen's University. And I've always loved business. So I've worked in a mix of like consumer packaged goods and consumer services, and ultimately ended up in management consulting, which was my supposed dream job at the time. And then, you kind of get into things and you start doing it. And intellectually, I think I really enjoyed the work, but I found the lifestyle very difficult because you are flying typically to client sites on a weekly basis. So you're pretty much never home and you work really long hours. And you also can't choose the clients that you work with. And so sometimes you get amazing clients, amazing brands you believe in, and sometimes you don't. And either way, you have a duty to support them and help them grow their business. So it was a dream job in the sense that I felt like very successful, and I'm sure my parents were very proud of where I'd been in my career, but it just didn't feel aligned with my values anymore.
Okay. And how long were you doing that for?
Well, I guess I was in management consulting for almost 4 years until I quit my job. Yeah.
Now, can you tell us a bit about Encircled and where the inspiration for the company came from?
Sure. So Encircled was actually inspired by my love of travel. So funnily enough, just living out of a suitcase, being a management consultant, I was very stressed out and I had just come off a client. And when you're in management consulting, they call it you're on the bench or on the beach, which means you're not assigned to a client, but you're still employed with them.
Right.
So you're not really doing anything. You're doing busy work at the company. And so I asked my boss if I could go on vacation because my friend had told me there was an opening in a yoga retreat that she was going on to Costa Rica. And I'd never been on one, but I did love yoga. So I was like, why not? Let's go. Last minute, start packing my suitcase for the trip. I was leaving at 4 a.m. for the airport. And as I'm packing the suitcase and just packing a ridiculous amount of stuff, because I was like bringing like a mat, some blocks, like, everything I could squeeze in there. Cause I wasn't really akin to my usual standard of like carry on only.
Right.
And, I was packing that bag and I started to zip it up. The zipper ripped open. The bag broke.
Oh, no.
And so I had to put everything to a much smaller bag. So I started really questioning, like, why was I bringing so much stuff, number one?
Yeah.
And was there stuff in here that could do multiple purposes so I didn't have to bring as much stuff? And I really came across this piece that I had bought from American Apparel, which is now a defunct brand, but it was a circle scarf, which you could wear, 35 different ways. And so I'm like, wow, I must be able to use this as a dress. This would be really great. And I started playing around with it, and functionally it just did not work. It looked sloppy. The fabric was see-through. It looked like kind of like a potato sack when you ended up tying it into the different iterations and styles and designs. So it started to get my wheels turning. I was like, why isn't there something that I could wear as like a dress and a cardigan and a scarf that would just be really beautiful and a nicer fabric and would actually look like what it was. Like, couldn't that be possible? And then I just could not drop that idea. So that really became the spark of our first product that we ever had, which is called the Kristi Cardi. It's an 8-in-1, essentially infinity scarf that has snaps strategically hidden along the hem, and it transforms into cardigan, a couple of dresses, a top, a bunch of scarves, a skirt. And
wow, more. Incredibly versatile.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I would think that with the amount of traveling you'd done, you had become quite a professional at packing and getting stuff that you need into the bag to go fairly quickly and fairly easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. After traveling weekly, you kind of have a routine. Like you almost leave your bag packed in a certain way.
Yeah.
But you also become attuned to what travelers need. And like one of the big things is like comfort, because
for sure,
nothing's worse than, I remember this experience being late for a flight once and running through the Calgary airport in a pair of high heels, and just like cursing myself, like, why am I wearing heels? This is so uncomfortable. But you're trying to travel as light as possible. Yeah. So, but there's this pressure to look super professional. Yes. And oftentimes my male colleagues could get away with just swapping out their ties or their shirt, whereas I would need a whole new outfit. So that really inspired that idea that how could I travel with like pieces that were versatile, that you could wear multiple ways, that wouldn't necessarily look like you're wearing the same thing all the time.
Right. How did you come up with the name for the company?
Yeah, so the name was really connected to the first product. I was just brainstorming things that would kind of go with that product and the concept of the business that I wanted to create. I knew I wanted to create a business that was really rooted in strong values of ethics and sustainability. So I love the idea of a circle, because to me it represents like karma, and that idea that, everything you're doing gives back to somebody along the way, whether it's the people who made the product, the planet, respecting, animal rights, respecting and creating a good quality product for the customers at the end of the day. So I love that idea of circular, and just encircled popped into my head as I was like drafting ideas, and I looked it up and nobody had taken it. So I was registering that trademark right away.
I'm sure. Now, do you have a background or training in clothing design?
No. So I have a finance degree and an MBA. So I'm completely unqualified to be a fashion designer. And I don't even really love fashion, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not the kind of girl who reads like Vogue magazine. That's just not my thing. I think I appreciate the craft and the creativity of it, but I'm just I love basics. I love essentials. I like classic, timeless style. I've never really been super into trends, except for a few phases maybe when I was a bit younger, but I've always really just had a lot of creative ideas. And I think for a while I bought into this mentality that I'm sure that a lot of your listeners can relate to, is that if you don't have a specific skill in an area, you have no business creating a business in that area, but you kind of have to divorce that, because sometimes you are really excited and passionate about an idea, and you may not have the skills to do it, but somebody else may have those skills who can help you execute it. So that was really key to getting the business started, was really just a lot of learning, a lot of test and learn, a lot of mistakes I made, but also tapping into a network of people who knew what they were doing to help me get off the ground with the business.
But when you started it, though, you were designing some of the pieces, were you not?
I was, yeah. So the first piece, which is still in our collection today, the Kristi Cardi, was actually designed by me. So I made the pattern. I sewed the first sample on a sewing machine I bought off Craigslist for like $30 that I broke the first time I used.
I love it.
Yeah, I broke it the first time I used it because I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing because I come from a family. My mom is like a very talented seamstress, and I'm sure he was just cracking up when I did that. But certain types of fabric, you can't sew with certain types of needles on a machine. I had no idea. So I broke it the first time I used it, and it cost way more to repair it than actually you paid to buy it. So I did like try to immerse myself a little bit. So I took like a weekend sewing course. I did an Illustrator class. Like I tried to learn little bits and pieces, just enough to get me by, to understand what I needed to know to get things happening. And I read a really fantastic book at the time. It's like a super boring read, but it's called The Sewn Product Entrepreneur's Guide to Manufacturing, and it literally goes through every single process. So it was very educational for me, but yeah, it was a lot of skill up leveling for me and diving into areas of a business I had no idea about whatsoever.
Are you still hands-on with some of the designing aspect of the clothing lines now, or are you completely hands-off with that?
I'm definitely the idea generator for sure. I am not the executor at all. I have a very talented design team. I have a designer and a design assistant who do all the pattern making and grading and technical design and sample making. I am no longer involved in that whatsoever. But the idea is for sure, because from that idea of traveling light, we really translated down to that question, like, if you can travel in a carry-on, then why do you need so much clothing in your closet?
True.
Why do we have these overstuffed closets with like 80% of the stuff we're not wearing? And we're always outfit repeating. Most people wear about 20% of the closet most of the time. So we really moved more into that design around like, how can we make pieces that are everyday versatility? Like our dressy sweatpants are like our most popular piece because they're dress up, dress down, day to night, work to weekend. So I definitely play a role in that idea generation because I feel very connected to our customer. And also I think my creativity is really sparked through that. Ironically, even though I'm not into fashion or trends, I'm into the idea of solving a problem for our customers.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously in the beginning, when you're first starting out a business, everyone goes through it and they're wearing multiple hats, which was the same for you, designing and everything else. But how has your role in the company changed over the years since you first started to now?
It's changed pretty massively. So back to like the sewing on the floor.
I love that story.
Which evolved into shipping packages, of course. And then when I would go away and travel, I mean, one of the best stories I tell is like we were in the Globe and Mail gift guide somewhat early on into probably a year into the business. And it went crazy. We got so many orders. I was by myself shipping out of my condo. So I hired my friends to come over and paid them in like pizza to help me pack the orders. And then I had to fly out to like, I think Calgary or Edmonton the next day. So I literally took the orders in garbage bags.
Wow.
Took them in the airport limo and had the limo drivers stop at every single Canada box because I couldn't fit them in one box. So I had to stop at like 6 different boxes to be able to even ship the orders. So so that doesn't happen anymore. We have a very talented fulfillment team. And we have a studio, a beautiful studio in the Junction Triangle area of Toronto, where we do some light manufacturing, and all our shipping and warehousing is out of there, and design work and photography. So my role has definitely changed into more operations, finance, leadership, coaching, that kind of stuff. But our team's still pretty small. We have 14 people.
Okay.
So we're still a small business, so I'm still very involved in the day-to-day to a certain extent, but definitely not shipping packages anymore.
That's hilarious. One of your taglines is that Encircled is the slow fashion brand that does it all. How did you come up with that tagline, and what does it mean to be the slow fashion brand?
Yeah. So for us, we see ourselves as basically the antithesis of fast fashion. So we try and do everything in opposite of the way the fashion industry has been going. So fast fashion is all about hyper consumption. So more products, the better, cheaper quality materials, exploitation of labor, multiple SKUs. If you want a t-shirt, they're going to make it in 18,000 different colors. And really, we came in and thought, there's a better way to do this, and focusing on that idea of less is more again, and, slowing down consumption. So how can we create, really intentionally designed products that people can wear multiple ways and really fall in love with, and that will stand the test of time. So like our products wash and wear beautifully. They're built with the stitches and construction so that they don't fall apart, which is actually the complete opposite of fast fashion. They want their stuff to fall apart because they want you to buy more.
Exactly.
So it's basically the opposite. But then one of the things we really talked about when this is kind of our new branding that's rolled out slowly. It came into effect in the pandemic, just as the pandemic hit, our new branding was being rolled out. So we kind of we're a little bit all over the place for a bit, but really when we say we do it all is that oftentimes when I get an interview, people will be like, so like, what makes you sustainable? What makes you ethical? Like wow, you guys are doing a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, because the business was built on the foundation of this. Like we were built with the intention of checking all the boxes for our customer: high quality, comfortable, stylish, versatile, ethical, sustainable. We're not just going to go make sustainable clothing made out of sustainable materials in a sweatshop. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of brands do that. So we really wanted to give our customers that idea that with us, they can feel confident shopping and they don't have to compromise on anything, because we're really doing that due diligence and have set up our brand and our supply chain in a way that they can be proud of wearing the clothes from Encircled.
Okay. Now, I read that Encircled was named a certified B Corp in 2018. Can you tell us a bit about that? What a certified B Corp is for those that don't know, and what the process was like for you to get Encircled certified?
Yeah. So Certified B Corporation, it's a third-party certification done through B Corp, and some well-known B Corps that people may be familiar with are Patagonia, Warby Parker, Eileen Fisher, Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And essentially what it is it's a certification that you are intending to use your business as a force for good in the world. So that literally becomes part of our corporate documents, is that we are committing to use our business as a vehicle for creating positive impact. And so they basically just go through and they audit all of your processes, all of your suppliers. It's a very extensive assessment. If people are interested, they can do for their businesses. There's a free assessment online they can do, but when you actually go through the process of assessing, it's quite a long project. I would say it's like a 3-month project to get through, because they look at everything. They look at who you're buying from, how you pay your employees, how your contractors pay your employees, like benefits, how you power your office. So for us, it's been a really great exercise, because not only does it put us in a caliber of business that it would be hard for us to stand alongside Patagonia otherwise, but it also certifies that somebody else has looked at us and said, these people are legit. This is really what they're doing. Because it's very easy to say that you're ethical, but there's not really a certification around it that would be all encompassing. So this is kind of the best of the best out there right now. So it's been really great for us too, in the sense that we can compare ourselves and learn from other businesses. So, one of the things that came out of it, well, now it doesn't sound great because our office is essentially almost closed, but we still do fulfill orders out of there. But we started to look at our office processes. We were like, okay, can we do office composting? Can we green power our office? We started to get all these ideas on how we could be even better at what we're doing through just the brands that we were associated with through B Corp as well.
Okay. Very cool. Now, how was the transition for you from full-time corporate to full-time entrepreneur?
It was definitely interesting. I mean, to give the long story short here, it was a leap. And I don't like to sugarcoat it for people, because I think for me, because I was so senior in my career, I was 10 years in, I had a lot to give up. So that was very scary for me. And I didn't have a lot of support. So my family was not very supportive of the decision. My friends, I think, were a little weirded out by it as well.
How can you give up this amazing career for something that's not sure?
100%. Yeah. It was very scary for them. Both my parents are not entrepreneurs, and they came to Canada as immigrants, and they grew up very poor. And they just saw me reverting back to that, basically, after all the work they've put in for this, So it was very fear-induced reaction. They're very supportive now, but for sure it was scary for them. And it's scary inadvertently for you too, when you want to make that leap and you don't have people in your corner.
Absolutely.
So I think I kind of went through multiple phases, but definitely when I first quit, I was very excited. I was like, yes, this is it. This is amazing. And then it really hit me that I didn't have a salary anymore. So I really had to reorganize my life, and it was very humbling. Like I moved, I was living in this beautiful condo in downtown Toronto, but I couldn't afford the rent anymore. So I moved above a pharmacy, farther north in the city. I changed my whole life. But the sacrifice was definitely worth it in the end, because it was really just a bit of a blip. It was a few years there where it was really difficult. But once you started to see the growth, in the business, I was able to grow with the business again, which was great. But one of my best friends gave me great advice when I was debating whether to quit my job. And she said, you can always go back. Like nobody will ever look at you and say like you failed. And that's so true. And that was just very cathartic to me. Of course, I never went back, but
yes. Yeah. 9 to 5s will always be there.
Exactly.
You can get a 9 to 5 anytime.
Exactly. And this opportunity for me, I knew that if I didn't follow this through, I would regret it. So, at the end of the day, life is very short and you have to choose, what feels best for you, regardless of what other people say sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we only get one go around here. So I don't understand why people don't do more of this and do what makes you happy. You only live once. And it's funny how quick people are to judge and jump on and say, well, how dare you give up such a stable career, and you're giving up benefits and you're giving up this for the unknown. And yeah, but it's what I want to, it's what makes me happy. It's what makes my heart sing. It's what makes me feel good. If I'm miserable at a job at a 9 to 5, why am I going to stay? Just because the money's good? Money's not everything.
Money is not everything. And that is a big lesson. I was making the most money in my career ever. And probably arguably one of the top salary in my friend group, but I was miserable. I was really miserable, and I felt very torn between my passion and what I really wanted to do. And like you said, it's just not a life to live like that. Like It just doesn't feel good at the end of the day. So, and now like, I still work quite a bit, but the work is so rewarding. I never go to bed on a Sunday night fearing the Monday, the Sunday scaries
the Monday dreads. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. I don't want to go.
Never have that anymore. Yeah. Never, so it's not for everybody for sure. I think there's a bit of a trend right now to glamorize entrepreneurship, but it's not for everybody. But if it is for you, you can always try it out and then go back if it doesn't work out for you.
But you're right. I think that entrepreneurship is very romanticized and glamorized. I think that it needs to be the other side of things needs to be talked about more, and people need to be made aware that it's not all roses and rainbows and puppy dogs and ice cream. It's a lot of, it's a hell of a lot of work. It's a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I also have a podcast called Brave and Boss, and literally I talk a lot about that journey. And because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting out, when they see people over glamorizing entrepreneurship, they think they're doing something wrong. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to know that, some of this is just part of the journey. Yeah. And like one of my favorite, so Julie Cole used to be my mentor a few years ago. And I remember asking her, when is this going to get easier? And she was basically like, it's not.
No, it doesn't get any easier.
And it was the best thing I could ever hear, because it made me remember that like, it's not just, you're not heading towards a destination here. It's part of a journey. Yeah. And the challenge is part of that journey. And if you don't embrace that, you're always going to feel like it's hard. So you kind of have to just go with it and share the good and the bad. And there's a lot of good that comes with it for sure. But to say it's not challenging would be completely lying for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Julie's a great woman. I've interviewed her. She's a wonderful, wonderful soul.
Yeah, she's so inspiring.
She is, definitely. For you, what is the most exciting or favorite part of your career or business?
I would have to say designing a product from scratch is still my most exciting thing, because you get to see it roll out into the world and you get to see people's excitement for it. So like we just launched a product, the Comfy Dress Shirt, which sold out in pretty much 48 hours.
Wow.
And just seeing that and like the little subtle design tweaks that we made to it that I knew our customer would love, and then seeing that they did love them, you're just like, it's the best feeling in the world. Very cool.
Where do you pull the inspiration from for your creations?
I definitely start from a place of thinking about our customer and like, what do they need in their wardrobe and how can we help provide that need? Like, what are some pain points that our customer has with clothing? And we usually start there. We do a lot of surveys with customers to try and see, we actually did a survey last in the summer where we asked like, what's your most uncomfortable piece of clothing? And I love that question because then I'm like, okay, I'm going to make something like this, but I'm going to make it comfy. So that's just as subtle of a tweak that we do. So the comfy dress shirt is a great example. Dress shirts are very uncomfortable typically because they're made from woven fabric and they're not breathable. So we're like, what if we could take all the beautiful elements of a dress shirt and then make it out of like super soft fabric that feels like PJs but looks dressy? And just that combination can be a really big win. So I always start kind of with that idea of like, what problem am I solving for? And then I design a product for it, which is very different than traditional fashion design. A lot of fashion designers start with like a creative palette or inspiration or trends. Like I'm completely coming at it from a different angle.
What do you wish you had known when you first started out with Encircled that you know now?
That is such a good question. It's hard to center in on one thing, to be honest, but I think I wish that I knew how, it's going to sound weird, but I wish that I knew how good our products really are. And I say that because I think I'm not a fast fashion shopper anymore, so I don't experience that very much. So it's hard. You start to lose objectivity when you're not in a category per se. So like, I think sometimes we have a tendency at Encircled to undersell the value of our products because we're very like humble about what we create. And then, you know, I see stories of people posting on Instagram where they like bought a shirt and they washed it once and it like fell apart, or like it came out of the package, it looks totally different, or it like pilled on the first wear. And I'm just like, wow, we don't do that. But I forget that that's like the way, because I'm not shopping in that segment. So I wish I knew more about that value that consumers place on it, because I think that would have made me more confident in selling the brand. Because a lot of people will tell you in the fashion industry that, you know, our products are pricier, but at the end of the day, it's all about the value that you get from the quality that you're creating.
Right.
So having more confidence in that, I think, would have been something I wish I knew at the beginning.
Okay. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become so successful?
I think I'm a very good generalist. So I think I have quite a few skills in a lot of areas. Like I'm not, I don't have good depth of skill in areas, but I'm very willing, obviously, to try stuff for sure. And to learn. Like I love learning. So if I don't know anything about digital marketing, I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
Like at least enough to make me somewhat dangerous. So I always try and learn a little bit about everything. And I think that makes me a good business operator too, because I have a pretty high level view of the organization and I know what it takes to manage it. So I would say, yeah, just the fact that I have a little bit of knowledge in every area.
Okay. To date, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
I would say to date, it would be getting through this year. I will give 2020 a shout out here. It's been an incredibly difficult year for a lot of small business owners. And I think just being able to make it through this year, and we're actually growing right now as a business.
It's amazing.
And hiring people. So I'm very grateful for that and for our customer support and our team support. But man, there were definitely some dark days in 2020. So I'm very happy that we were able to push through. That's
amazing that you're able to, you're doing so well in this year of 2020 with all that's gone on, and you're hiring and businesses grow. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're actually relatively well suited to the climate right now, being work from home and comfy but dressy looking clothing, you know. But it's been a challenge with the supply chain just being shut down in Toronto locally as well, and pivoting a lot of times. But I feel very grateful knowing the circumstance of a lot of other small business owners out there. I feel very lucky to be at the position we're at.
Pivot. I think that's the word for 2020. I hear that word thrown around so much this year.
Well, it's true. Like we initially when they shut down the NBA, which I think was the big turning point for a lot of people, our sales dropped triple digits and there was a lot of uncertainty. We were growing and then all of a sudden we were down like 100%. So it was very scary. And then we were able to pivot fairly quickly and start making non-medical masks in Toronto with our supply chain and providing them to community for sale, donation as well.
Awesome.
And that really carried us through. And then we almost ran out of inventory because our supply chain was shut down. So it was like just this ups and downs for sure. But, pivoting is really essential. Those are the businesses that, there's a lot of circumstances right now that are out of people's control. So I think the more you can adjust, even if it feels like, why am I doing this? This is not my company's purpose. But you got to get through. You got to get through at the end of the day. So whatever you need to do, you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. What was a turning point in your life and how did it affect you?
I would say probably the biggest turning point was, the moment I thought of the idea for Encircled, because I think that has changed the path of my life pretty dramatically. And I don't know if, I don't think I would have ever predicted that. Like in my MBA, they had us do like a time capsule where you put in what your job is going to be like 10 years from now.
Right.
I hope they never open that up. I think I wanted to be like a CFO at like a Fortune 500 company.
Well, now you're a CEO.
Yeah. So different though, right? So I had very different vision for myself, but it's not a bad thing for sure.
No, definitely not. What is a passion of yours that you rarely share with people, and why not?
I think I am really passionate about, I actually think I'm quite passionate about like writing. And I share it in the sense that I write our emails, but I used to love writing short stories and poetry as a kid. And reading. And I just don't really talk a lot about that. Like, I don't think it's something that people really know a lot about.
Okay. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Definitely working out for sure. Anytime I'm feeling like stuck or like I don't have any ideas, taking my dog for a walk even is super beneficial, or hopping on my Peloton and doing a class. It just helps shift your mindset so much.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
I would say the most important thing that I learned in my life is that other people's opinions of you are none of your business.
Yes, I love that quote.
I don't know who said that, but yeah, it's not me. Not original quote. Definitely something I learned before I oriented my life around what I thought people wanted me to do, and after I finally had the freedom to do what I wanted.
Awesome. What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
I definitely think if you are very interested and very passionate about doing something, and you have a product you want to create or a service you want to launch, like start small, start slow, try it out on the side. You can do a side hustle, do it in evenings and weekends, test it out. It's very easy nowadays to set up a Shopify store, and just see how it goes. And if you start to get some traction, then you can, follow your path and give it a go.
What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
I get so much advice. I've been very lucky to, I've been very lucky to have a number of great mentors. And I think probably the best advice is that you can't stay comfortable in order to grow. So that I think anybody who comes from corporate career and goes into entrepreneurship, you immediately want to get comfortable again because you're like, this is so uncomfortable. I just want stability. There's those people who are just entrepreneurs at heart and they just crave that. But if that's not your personality, it can feel very off-putting. But when you default into that mode where you're like, okay, this feels comfortable and predictable, this is great, that's when your business will stop growing. Like you really need to constantly be reinvesting in yourself and your business and your team and really pushing the envelope in order to see movement in your business.
How do you define success? What does that word mean to you? Success
is finding happiness and finding joy in what you do in your life on an everyday basis.
Love it. How would you like to be remembered?
I would love to be remembered as somebody who had a positive impact on not only the fashion industry, but also in terms of furthering women identifying founders and marginalized groups who are founders as well. Because I just believe there's so many great businesses out there that are just not seeing the light of day and not getting the proper funding and support. So I'd love to be remembered as somebody who helps accelerate that.
Awesome. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Thoughtful. I had to think about that. I was going to go with hardworking, but that sounds really lame. So I'd say thoughtful, because I really do care about the work that I'm doing and the people around me a lot.
What is your personal motto?
My personal motto is based off a quote, and it's "My life is my message." So how you live your life is like a proxy to who you are. And I don't believe in work-life separation per se, because you spend so much time working. So the job that you're doing, the idea that you can separate that from who you are as a person is really challenging. I think especially as further on as you get in your career, like, you know, it's that idea that if you're like an environmentalist and you're working for like BP oil, that can be okay. At the end of the day, that won't feel good.
Yeah.
So, you know, figuring out that like what you want to do in your life and really aligning it to that, I think is really, really important.
For sure. I love that. I think that's so true. And not many people do actually find their purpose or find their mission in life. But when you do, it's the most incredible. I don't think there's any better feeling in the world when everything aligns and you find what you're made to do, your mission in life. It's the most incredible thing.
Totally.
It's sad that not as many people do find that, though.
Yeah, it is really sad. A lot of people work at the same job just because it's safe, you know, and we're very privileged in North America to have that choice to be able to do that. It's just a lot of people, I think, get stuck, and it's what's easy and it's what's safe and normal for them. And they fear the judgment for sure of other people in their life and their family and their partner and all that kind of stuff. So it can be a very scary position, but it's hard to look back on your life, I think, and, you know, regret things. So
for sure,
you need to be really careful about that. And
that should be the motivator, right? I mean, you don't want to get too stuck, as you said, comfort zones, and you know, you can become stagnant. So I don't know. To be able to find your purpose is an incredible thing.
Totally.
What would you say is the most recent investment you've made in yourself?
I recently bought I'm really passionate about learning. So I recently bought an online course all about building my podcast and how I'm going to grow that, because I really want to grow my impact through that channel. And that was a pretty big investment, but I'm a huge believer in investing in yourself. So yeah.
Amazing. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment, I love that word, first of all. So I think it's amazing that's tied into your podcast.
Thank you.
It's really about, you know, feeling like you have the confidence to do anything, you know, you want to do. And being empowered is like, you know, having the audacity to do something. And we should all have that audacity on behalf of ourselves. I think, unfortunately, a lot of us just don't feel good enough maybe to be able to go after what we want in life, or maybe there's people influencing us negatively, but feeling empowered is feeling, you know, like you're good enough and you deserve that. You deserve that great life.
Money or fame?
That's a tough one. I'm like, neither. No.
Some people have said that, neither.
I mean, to be honest, like neither of them are really that important to me at the end of the day. I think to a certain extent, fame is a little bit more important in the sense that if you are better known as a brand, it's just easier for you to scale, and that makes it easier for us to have an impact on the world as well in a positive way.
But I think money allows you, me personally, I would say money, because that just allows you a bigger platform. It allows you, I mean, if you have tons of money, you can do a lot more with money than you can with fame, I think.
This is a really hard question, Brad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go listen to some of your podcasts.
I like to make my guests think. It's good. It's thought-provoking. Mm-hmm. Early bird or night owl?
I'm a night owl for sure. I do my best work at night.
Yeah. Creativity. I think us creatives, I think the nighttime is the best time for creativity.
It's a blessing and a curse for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I've definitely gotten out of bed and grabbed a notepad and started working on ideas before. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of creatives get inspired when the sun goes down for sure.
For sure. If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
It's funny because I was just on a podcast the other day. I felt like the title of the podcast was so funny to me. Yeah. I don't know. But it was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know why that came to me, but it just feels like the journey of my life. You know, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it anyways. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Warning, would do anything it takes to make my business successful.
Okay. That's drive. It's good to have that. I mean, you need it as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. If you could teach the world one thing, what would that one thing be?
To be more compassionate and empathetic to people. I think the world needs more kindness. So I wish people would be more thoughtful in the way they engage with people, not only online, but in real life as well.
You know, it honestly, I agree with you 100%. I think that, I mean, being kind to another human doesn't cost you anything. I can't wrap my head around why this concept is so hard for people to grasp. I really can't understand it. It does not cost you a cent to be nice to somebody. And you could change someone's day completely just by being kind or smiling or something as simple as that. And yet we as humans cannot grasp this simple concept.
Yeah, you never know what people are going through in their heads, you know, exactly. So it's always best to default to be kind no matter what.
I think so. If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would that theme song be?
These questions are so good.
Thank you.
I feel like immediately like Rocky came to my mind. I don't know why.
I love it. And Kristi's running up the steps to the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, for some reason that came into my mind. I don't know. Not that I'm like going into a battle every time I'm in a room, but I'm always like, well, now you don't go into any rooms. You go into like Zoom calls.
That's right.
I'm always like energized. Yeah, I'm always energized to like meet with people and ready for a good discussion. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's go with that. Your first thing that came to your head. So there you go. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I would tell my younger self that you are perfect as you are.
I love it. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? It doesn't have to be exactly 30 seconds.
There you go with another tough question. These are really hard. These are great questions. I do a lot of podcasts, and a lot of these I've never been asked before. So they're very
thank you very much. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that.
Very thought-provoking. I would say, I would tell people that I just wish for better things for the planet and for the world. I want people to be kind to each other and to the planet. We don't have very many years left with the state of the planet. So people need to start taking this more seriously and thinking less independently and more like a community and globally, how we can help each other in the world just to get through and to be better people.
Yet again, another very simple concept that as a community, we all thrive. Everybody wins. And it's everyone's, I shouldn't say everyone because that's generalizing, but so many people are just out for themselves and don't give a shit about other people. And this all ties into the kindness thing as well. But it's just another arm of that kindness branch where it's so simple. I don't understand why we're so lost on this concept, on these concepts, these very, very simple, basic concepts.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think in other countries they've figured out more and they're more inclusive and thoughtful of their community, and when somebody suffers in the community, they all come together to help them. It's definitely not the natural way in the US and Canada, and I wish it would be, because I think you've seen actually in the pandemic a lot of people come together
Yes.
apart, obviously, to help each other, and that's been really, really nice to see. Even just like, neighbors helping neighbors with things, and I hope that kind of spirit stays around longer.
I hope so. I think maybe part of the problem with North America is because we're so focused on work and making money and greed, and I think that plays a big part in it. I would say. Yeah, there's definitely a very individualistic attitude, and like a lot of scarcity too, I think, drives it as well. So like the idea that if like I have something, somebody else can't have it, not that like there's more of that around in the world. And I think that's something I constantly have to tell myself too, because especially being in a hyper competitive industry like the fashion industry, you get to telling yourself stories that aren't true. There's more than enough customers out there. Yes.
There's more than enough people who want to shop ethically, and just staying the course with your values, I think, is so important, regardless of that, and teaching yourself an abundance mindset, because I think that's really important to instill.
I was just going to say that whole mindset of competition, and it's community over competition, but I mean, I was even stuck in this mindset when I first started my photography business. It's like I was constantly comparing myself, and what is this person doing? And my stuff's not as good as theirs. And but once you get set and out of that mindset and into the fact that there is more than enough work out there for everybody, no matter what you're doing, musicians, athletes, photographers, fashion design, there's more than enough work out there, because not everyone is going to be your ideal client. Not everyone is going to resonate with your work. And the other side of that is that no one else is you. No one else designs like you, Kristi. No one else takes photos like I do. So it's a huge mindset shift that needs to happen for people as well. And I think if we get out of that competition mindset, that will also help us toward that whole other concept of changing the way people think and being kinder to other people and all of that stuff that goes along with it.
Absolutely. Collaboration is like one of our key values at Encircled. And before the pandemic, we were doing like markets where we would host them, and we'd invite other brands who share our values to be exposed to our customer base. And markets for free, essentially. And it was something that was really important to me, because I believe that we all, like, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yes, I love that quote too. That quote's amazing. Yeah,
but unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in fashion, will steal ideas and do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like you said, like, they can't do it like you. So they can try and copy you, but it's not you. So
no one else is Kristi,
together.
right? No one else designs like you. No one else thinks like you. So it's very interesting. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much, Kristi, for agreeing to be part of it's been such an amazing interview. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you're doing. I think it's amazing. And I just want to say thank you for sharing your journey and your story with us here today. It's been amazing. You are a true inspiration.
Oh, thank you, Brad. Thank you for all the great questions. I feel like I'm going to go away and journal about some of these. They definitely
well, that's good. I'm glad I could provoke
been very thought-provoking for sure.
Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest was Kristi Soomer. She is the founder and CEO of Encircled, based right here in Toronto. Thanks, Kristi. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
Okay. You too, Brad. Take care.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.